Anybody ever came to church and that word was all up in your business? That word was all up in your bedroom. That word was all up in your kitchen table. You went home and got to talking about everybody in the church. Y'all just got to cutting up everybody in the church. Matter of fact, if it was in the natural, blood would have been everywhere because y'all were killing everybody. Y'all were killing everything. But then you brought your little self back to church. And what was pastor preaching about? He was preaching about folk that talk about people. He was preaching about folk that gossip. He was preaching about messy folks on Facebook. He was preaching about messy folk on Instagram. How are you supposed to be holy with them pictures on Instagram of you looking like a slut, of you looking like, oh, I will preach it anyhow. Oh, I seen some pictures there. That ain't no lady right there. That ain't no man of God. That ain't. How many know that word will find you out? But let me tell you, let me drop one on you that you don't know. That word will get the preacher too. That word ain't just for you. That word is for the preacher too. That word be tearing me up sometime. I'm preaching, but I'm saying you got to do better. I'm preaching, but I'm saying you got to straighten up. I'm preaching it, but I'm saying you got to go back and get that right. Oh my God, I love some good preaching. Good preaching changed my life. I was broke until I heard good preaching. I was disgusted until I heard good preaching. I didn't have nothing until I heard some good preaching. My marriage was jacked up until I heard some good preaching. I was alone. Tap 3 folk real quick and tell them good preaching will change you. Whoa, it's some folk know it to be true. Good preaching will bring you out of the club. Good preaching will make you put the needle down. Good preaching will cause you to stop sniffing. Good preaching will bring you off of crack. Good preaching will cause you to quit slipping, dipping, and sliding, and tipping, and doing all. Give him a praise for good preaching. Give him a praise for good preaching. Good preaching will stop you from lying. Good preaching will stop you from cussing. Good preaching will cause you to put your temper up under subjection. Good preaching will change you. Good preaching transforms people. And let me tell you, you ain't got to be ashamed of what good preaching did for you. If you know good preaching helped you, you ought to give God a praise. Don't you be ashamed. The fourth thing I want you to receive about Abraham is that through faith, Abraham became the father of many nations. I said through faith, he became the father of many nations, because that's what God promised Abraham when he appeared to him, told him to get away from his kinfolk, get away from your family to a place that I'm going to show you. Abraham, if you want to be great, separate yourself from certain people. Do you know there are folk that want to be great, but they hang with people that's okay being mediocre? How are you going to be so great when your partner's so jacked up? See, so the first thing God told Abraham, he said, look, it's going to be necessary for you to get away from certain folk if you're really going to be able to hear me right. Let me tell you, there are folk in your life that they will try to block you from hearing God. Boy, it's quiet. See how all of y'all, just about all of you up on your feet a while ago. See, I told y'all about being like that. Do you know there are folk that the only reason they didn't prosper in certain things is because they wouldn't get away from certain folk? I've seen business owners that couldn't prosper because everybody that's in the business some kin to them. And they jacked up. But they still want to be tight with them just because they family. Even if it takes the business down, they really don't care as long as they can say connected to certain folk. That hit right there, didn't it? That hit. But sometime again, understand, child of God, it is necessary So I'm trying to break free from certain folk. I'm not hating on you. I'm not downing you. But in order for me to be who God really wants me to be, I've got to look closely at my inner circle. Boy, if some of you would just examine your inner circle this morning, you ain't as great as you think you are. You ain't as wonderful as you claim to be. Listen what I'm telling you. Through faith, this man became the father of many nations. Can I break that down? Through faith, Abram, who was nobody, became somebody. See, when you start living by faith, it's going to take you from being a nobody to being somebody. See, that's the reason I can't sing that sad song. I'm just a nobody. The devil is a lie. How am I a nobody when I'm a child of God? How am I a nobody when my daddy owns everything? How am I a nobody? He don't want just the pastor to be great. He don't want just minister so-and-so to do good in life. God wants to bless all of his people. Well, y'all should give him a praise for that. God ain't going to show up and throw out no favoritism. God is not a respecter of person. God will bless everybody that trusts him. Oh, you talking about you trusted God, but he didn't bless you. You ought to hut. You need to throw that trash in the trash can, because God is a God of his word. If you do what God telling you to do, God will bless you. God, I'm getting happy up here. He'll bless you despite what you make an hour. He'll bless you despite your skin color. He'll bless you even though you single. He'll bless you even though you're a woman. Good God Almighty. He'll take you from being the tail and he'll make you the head. He'll take you from being a borrower and make you the lender. He'll call you from the back of the line and tell you to move to the front of the line. Watch this, and won't care about what folks saying as you pass them by. Oh, where you going? He told me to move up. He told me this was my year. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Y'all don't want nothing. Be careful who you put down. Be careful who you talk about. Because you got 2 or 3 degrees and they didn't get out of high school. Be careful now. Be careful. They liable to open up a business and hire you and be your boss without a degree. God, I'm preaching right up in here. I'm preaching right up in here. They liable to write you out some instruction and misspell 7 or 8 words, but still a multi-millionaire. And you look at it and say, Lord, how in the world did they get to be so blessed? She can't even spell good. He can't even have read. Yeah, but he obey me. He do what I tell him to do. God, I'm trying to move on, but God will let you drive what you want to drive when you do what he tells you to do. God will let you live what you desire to live when you do what he tells you to. God will send you on multiple vacations when you do what he tells you to do. God will cause you to travel this world when you do what he tells you to do. Pastor, I ain't ever had nothing. Do what he telling you to do. Pastor, I'm the black sheep of my. Do what he telling you to do. Pastor, they just laid me off. Do what he telling you to do.